Hey all, my name is Jonny Edward. I am an editorial portrait photographer, art director, and creative educator based out of Denver, Colorado. Now, I have been wanting to bring an educational platform and app to life for, well, many moons. It's been at least 3 or 4 years, and it's been this idea that I've really wanted to bring to fruition. But one of the biggest reasons why I haven't done it sooner is the technical considerations of finding the right back end for this. Now, leading up to a few months back, I had literally researched every single LMS and other potential platform out there. I did free trials of all of these things. I delved into them very deeply. I'm a nerd when it comes to this stuff. So I really took a broad look at all of the different options out there. And the problem for me was that none of them winded up being well suited. So one of the top things that I need with this is a VOD style platform, video on demand. Sort of the backbone of my education platform is educational video content. And that video content we are producing at 4K. So I needed something that could not only create libraries that were searchable, indexable, and easily usable, but also support a very high quality of production value, because that is paramount to what I'm doing with the platform. There were only a couple of things out there that had VOD style options. And to be completely honest, they were exorbitantly expensive. And they also didn't offer support for 4K, which was a big letdown for me, given that most of my clients and members are going to be watching this content on devices that support 4K streaming. Having to settle for HD did not seem like an equitable solution to me. Furthermore, the second thing that I really needed and wanted from a platform was a community feature. And that is to say, interactive forums where I could focus on staying connected to my member base and also facilitating connection between those members. Now, for any of those options that were out there that had the VOD, those libraries that were searchable, the Netflix kind of style and vibe, none of them had any type of appreciable community features. A few of them had them as sort of like secondary add-ons, but they weren't aesthetic and they didn't seem very functional. And for me, rather than adding value, it felt like they would take away value because they just didn't match the overall feel and level of the VOD front end. So then I started looking at LMS type platforms that are specifically meant for courses. Now, the problem for that is that they're structured for linear courses. That is to say, if I was going to produce a masterclass on lighting that was sequential, lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, lesson 4, those are viable for that, but that's not what I'm doing with my platform. What I'm doing is creating a library of videos in both short form and long form, and I needed to be able to feature those videos in a way where they could be represented, but also searchable. So I could consider doing something like stuffing all of those videos into a course and trying to play with custom CSS and renaming things. And let's just say that it would have been a very hackneyed solution. And when I went about doing that, it just didn't feel like it spoke to the caliber of the brand I'm trying to represent for my membership. So those were the two primary aspects. Now, on a tertiary level, and this wasn't my top consideration, of course, but I really wanted the ability to have an app for this platform as well. And the biggest reason is that I wanted my membership to be able to step away from browsers. I wanted to be able to step away from that type of distraction and into something where I could stay more engaged with my member base through things like push notifications. Now, some of the solutions that I researched had that as an add-on option. But we're talking about a lot of additional money for an app that doesn't have a lot of functionality. And then, of course, you're dealing with being in the Play Store, in the App Store, the additional fees and the additional headaches that come along with that type of development cycle, and also just doing things like updating the app and all of that. So needless to say, it was a very frustrating 4 to 6 months for me investigating all of these potential solutions, thinking I had found something, and then only having to step back and go, you know what, this isn't the right fit for me. It was sort of by accident that I stumbled across Movement, and I am so happy and grateful that I found Movement, not only for the back end and the platform and the builder, but for the team that is actively supporting Movement. Of all of the different solutions that I found, Movement has been the most responsive, they've been the most kind and thoughtful, and they've been the most helpful through the entire process since before I onboarded to the actual point of bringing this app and platform to life in terms of ongoing technical support. And they've been, just joyful throughout the entire process, which was a really beautiful change of pace. But the great thing for me about Movement is that it gives me the VOD. I have the opportunity to have my video on demand libraries, have my different educational pillars laid out in a way that is very, very aesthetic, that is very fast, and that is very user friendly. I have my community forums and chats for each one of those respective education pillars. And then I also have a web-based app that is easily installed on Android devices, on iOS devices, and then both desktop for Mac and PC without having to go through the hassle of putting things in the App Store. So all of my needs were met from the top down at a price point that beat every other solution out as well. So I feel like with this, I'm getting to basically have my cake and eat it too, because every single one of my needs for the platform is there, and it's aesthetic and it's fast and it's efficient to actually build this out. And I'm not making any sacrifices. And relative to that, the price point that I'm paying for this caliber of backend and the caliber of the support I'm receiving is almost unbelievable. So when I say that I'm extremely happy with Movement as a solution to my specific needs as an educator, I cannot overstate that enough, to be completely honest. And for me, what's interesting is that Movement is sort of niched relative to movement, health and wellness practitioners. Now, obviously, with photography and some cinematography and those types of things, I'm outside of that respective niche, but the tools that are in place for those specific professionals carried over beautifully to what I'm doing as an educator in the photography and visual storytelling space. So I just want to say thank you so much to the team at Movement. I am so glad that I finally found you. I certainly wish that it would have happened sooner, but I appreciate everything that you're doing for the community and for entrepreneurs and educators in terms of the value in the offerings, but also for the support. And I can tell that you in earnest want to see people succeed, and you're dedicated to doing that. So I guess it all suffices to say that if you are considering Movement, I highly, highly recommend it, regardless of what you're doing as an educator or a guru or a coach or a mentor or whatever it may be. And I am so looking forward to launching my platform here on Movement and to growing and nurturing a community that is all about not only education and empowerment, but also connectivity. So I am one happy camper, and I will be with Movement for a long time. Thanks, team.